We are riding down 2nd Avenue. From Houston Street till 14th Street was the Yiddish Broadway. At one time, this street was jammed with people coming and going.
In its heyday, Yiddish theater was the chief form of entertainment for Yiddish-speaking Jewry for 2, perhaps 3 generations.
Jews came off the boat. Where did they go? The first thing that they went to was to see a Yiddish theater.
It began in Romania with Abraham Goldfaden, who in 1876 founded the first Yiddish theater company. Within 20 years, the idea took root in America and soon flourished under an endless supply of Jewish immigrant talent, shepherded in the beginning by the legendary Boris Tomaszewski.
I can, basically say that I'm here today because he brought my father over to the United States. Boris Tomaszewski was looking for someone that could compete with Aaron Lebedov. Lebedov was known as the Litvischer Komiker, the Lithuanian comic. Tomaszewski heard about my father's success in Europe, and so he contracted my father. My father was then billed as the Vilna comiker because he came from Vilna.
Here is Burstein. Pesach Burstein was a famous
Mike's father.
comedian. His son, Mike Burstein.
He was a whistler, wasn't he?
Very famous. He used to whistle.
Seymour Rechtsite was one of many, many actors and singers on 2nd Avenue, and Seymour knew just about everybody.
This is Herman Yablikov, Miriam Cresson, and myself when we first got married many, many years ago. And here we go to the famous Molly Pecan. I'm sure some of you have heard about Molly Pecan. She played for many, many years in the theater in 2nd Avenue and other places. And then, of course, she became a sensation. There was a musical genius called Rumshinsky. Rumshinsky wrote wonderful, wonderful music for Molly Pecan, for all the great stars in the Yiddish theater, for me too. And he wrote beautiful music.
The shows from which these songs came have not lived on, and I don't think they will. But it's the music that makes 2nd Avenue important.
But when the Milken Archive set about recording some of these great songs, it discovered that not one of the original orchestrations had survived intact.
We relied very heavily on my own research for several years into what the instrumentation would be. We reconstructed the orchestrations to be as faithful as they can to what would have been the ideal situation on 2nd Avenue under the best conditions.
Finally, recording began with the Barcelona Symphony under the baton of Eli Yaffa. Here, noted clarinetist David Krakauer joins the late Bruce Adler on Sag es mir noch einmal, or Tell Me Again, by the great Abraham Elstein.
In mir a Zinne von Größ Fried, als ich gelebt, zu hören von dir a selige Reit. Oi, sag es mir noch einmal, oi, sag es mir noch einmal, oi, ne Schummel, ne Fummel, sag es mir noch einmal. Jeder kennt mich, wenn man sieht mich, gibt mir na Geschrei. Fischl, der Conductor.
Bruce Adler, my childhood friend, was one of the greats of the Yiddish theater. His parents, Henrietta Jacobson and Julius Adler, were like my parents, stars of the Yiddish theater, and also married to each other. Unfortunately, we lost him not too long ago at a very early age, but he left behind some great memories, so many wonderful songs.
In Joseph Rumshinsky's rollicking Dear Nickel, Mira Nickel, Mr. Adler's character takes prosperity into his own hands.
Dear Nickel, oi, 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 Mira Nickel, oi, 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 das ist ein Plan, versteht ihr doch? Dear Nickel, oi, 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 Mira Nickel, oi, 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 Chotishili, Chotishilo. Die Company, sie darf sich stellen, tanzen. Danken Gott, ich nehm mit sie im Ganzen. Dira Nico, oi, 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 Mira Nico, oi, 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 Chotishili, Chotishilo.
This in no way should be interpreted as a socialistic or left-wing song. Quite the opposite. This was for humor. This was for entertainment.
Nico, oi, 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 Mira Nico, oi, 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 Chotishili, Chotishilo.
The archive also traveled to Austria to work with the Vienna Chamber Orchestra. Among the many works recorded there was Ilya Trilling's tender duet, Du scheinst wie die Sonne, or You Shine Like the Sun, featuring soprano Nell Snadis and Robert Bloch. Herman Jablokov's Depression-era lament, Der Dishwasher, is sung by baritone Robert Abelson.
Ich wasch mit meiner Schwache, ich wasch vor den ich abwurzel, den Fried ich weit, vor der Tränen stiegelbreit, ich wasch im Bett, heul sich allein den Tod, in dem Rausch steh ich im Wald.
This is 2nd Avenue, Delhi, and here are all the famous stars. This is their plaques. They have everybody's name, including mine and my wife's too, of course.
Kind of like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, huh?
Right. That's a mine. Äußeret mein Herz, zerrett ich von Sinnen, zerrett ich von Schmerz. Ich leid von einer Krankheit, heute seh's nicht kein Kränk. Man rief es unälter, es nuckt und es bängt. Weil was gewähnt, ist gewähnt, es ist nicht du. Schöner Weg, jene Zeit, jene Schuh. Wie schnell's verflieht der jinge Blick, in man kann es nicht haben, mehr zurück, weil was gewähnt.
This is the old Eden,
It's the old
the
Eden
Morris
Theater,
Schwartz Theater.
the old Morris Schwartz Theater. All the greats played here.
When did all this end, Seymour?
It ended in around the 60s.
Well, because the end of what? End of immigration.
Yeah, immigration was the end of, in the 50s.
Is it because Jewish people moved away from New York too?
And then the Jewish people started to move away, you know, they became Americanized.
Yes,
all
and they
of these-
lost the Yiddish.
We lost the Yiddish audience. And the most trouble was that the elderly Jews didn't teach their children. Forget that the past was as black as night. Tomorrow the sun will be warm and bright. Weil was gewesen ist gewesen, es ist nicht du.
glory days of the American Yiddish theater may have passed, but the music has survived, finding new audiences to touch and delight.
The Milken Archive put together a combination concert and show at Disney Hall in Los Angeles.
What you will hear tonight is just 1% of what the archive has recorded. We hope that it will inspire you to explore the rest.
We devoted an entire self-contained segment that evening to Second Avenue. And we brought together many of the performers who had recorded for us on a single stage.
Fischl Canapop's Hutzatza is a classic vaudeville number joyfully brought back to life by Bruce Adler.
I have terrible problems, especially with food. My wife dresses to kill and cooks the same way. Everything she makes is tough. Tough! In our house, we have soup knives. I came home for dinner the other night, she was crying. She said, the dog just ate the brisket I made for dinner. I said, don't cry, I'll buy you another dog. A man's in a cemetery, and he's beating on a grave, and he's yelling, why did you die? Why did you die? So I asked him, who died? He said, my wife's first husband. Denn der Kabich sein mein Lied, Utzaza, Utzaza. In Eibes macht ein Appetit, Utzaza, Utzaza. Oi, wir hat das Licht geklachen. Utzaza, kennt ihr alle allein machen. Utzaza, Utzaza, oi, wer hat Salamat, Salamat, wir was Utzaza, Salamat, Salamat, wir schön. Oi, wer hat Salamat, Salamat, wir was Utzaza, Salamat, haben wir rein schön.
Alexander Olshanetsky, one of his most famous songs was Ich hab dir zu viel lieb. I love you too much. Olshanetsky was the greatest melodist. He had the greatest gift for melody of all of the songwriters from Second Avenue.
Molly Picon collaborated with Abraham Elstein to produce the hit song A Biga Zint, lovingly recreated by Ariane Brown. Joanne Bortz and Bruce Adler split the song 50-50 by Joseph Rumshinsky.
Wir wollen noch der Lebens kennen soll die Zeit.
Wenn es mehr nicht sein, kein Bosses und Arbeitsleit.
Die Sozialisten wollen machen nach so viel Urmenreich.
Die Bosses mit der Arbeiter,
wer sich denn gleich. 50-50, right 50-50.
wenn der Welt wird wie ein Nuss.
Sitzen, schwitzen, nähen, Klocks, 50-50. Wenn wir freien und mit Turm, kein Zeit verlieren, schnell am Leben, 50-50.
50-50.
I 50, 50, 50, 50. Then der will 50 an Ochs. Sitzen, schwitzen, lehen, Kurs. 50, 50. Können wir drehen und mit Turm. Kein Zeit verlieren, schnell antreten. 50, 50. Kein Zeit verlieren, schnell antreten. 50, 50.
By far the best-known song to emerge from 2nd Avenue was Shalom Sekunda's By Mir Bist Du Schön, or To Me You Are Beautiful, sung by Simon Spiro.
The lyricist of By Mir Bist Du Schön was Jacob Jacobs, who was also a famous actor and singer on stage and comedian.
The story was always, and I remember my grandmother telling it when we were really kids. They were in Atlantic City where they used to play all the time, and they were walking on the boardwalk. And my grandfather was flirting, because he was very good at flirting, and he was this very dapper guy. And my grandmother gave him one of those nudges and said to him, you know, Jacob, you're walking with me, I'm your wife. And he got a little flustered, and he said, what are you worried about? You know, by Mir Bist Du Schön. And then he literally went, ooh.
In 1938, when the Andrews Sisters recorded a version with English lyrics, it became a huge worldwide hit. Here, the entire cast sings the original Yiddish lyrics. For 3 generations of Jewish immigrants, the American Yiddish theater was a mirror, reflecting every aspect of their dreams and fears, their challenges and their triumphs. The soundtrack that emerged endures to this day as a body of work that forever captures the rhythm and melody of a resilient people, adjusting to life in a new world.
Einer läuft in a play, einer läuft in Kabarett, einer läuft in Drugstore, weil der Feuer tippt im Weh. Watch your step, schreit mir neues ganz plain. Watch your step, überall kennt ihr das sehen. In der Subway, in der Car, herauf und auf die Treppe, schreit einer euch mit dem ganzen Chor. Watch your step. In der Subway, in der Car, herauf und auf die Treppe, schreit einer euch mit dem ganzen Chor. Watch your step, schreit einer